Are you exhausted bone deep, soul tired, exhausted from pouring your heart, your energy, your best years into people, situations, obligations, and endless cycles that quietly drain you until you feel empty, frustrated, resentful, and somehow smaller than the person you know you are capable of being? Do you find yourself lying awake at 3 a.m., eyes wide in the dark, replaying the same conversations on an endless loop, the sharp words, the broken promises, the subtle digs disguised as jokes, the moments you swallowed your truth to keep the peace, wondering why, after all this time, you still tolerate the disrespect, the drama, the emotional quicksand, the slow-motion stagnation, even though a small, persistent, wise voice deep inside your chest keeps whispering, gently but urgently, enough. This is enough. You deserve more than this. You are not weak for feeling this way. You are not broken for wanting better. You are simply human, carrying the same ancient wiring that once helped our ancestors survive tribes and saber-toothed tigers, but which today tricks us into believing that loyalty means endurance at any cost, that love means swallowing poison with a smile, that walking away equals failure. We have all been conditioned by family stories, by cultural myths, by well-meaning but outdated advice, to believe that the only noble path is to stay, to endure, to fix everything and everyone, no matter how much of ourselves we lose in the process. But what if the most courageous, dignified, quietly powerful choice available to you right now is to walk away? Not in a blaze of anger, not in a storm of defeat, not with bitterness carved into your face, but with calm, rooted self-respect. With the quiet certainty that your life, this one, unrepeatable life, is too precious to be spent watering dead plants. In this video from Strength Within, we return once more to the eternal, battle-tested well of Stoic philosophy, the same clear-eyed wisdom that sustained Marcus Aurelius on blood-soaked battlefields, Epictetus through chains and slavery, Seneca amid the corruption of Rome's elite, to reveal 13 profound, liberating lessons that prove why walking away is very often your greatest act of strength, your clearest path to mental clarity, and your most authentic expression of personal freedom. Whether right now you feel trapped in a relationship that once felt like home, but now feels like a beautiful cage with invisible bars, a workplace that pays your bills but quietly steals your spirit, one unnecessary meeting at a time, endless cycles of people pleasing where you say yes so often that your own voice has grown faint, or simply a social circle, family dynamic, online space, or internal narrative soaked in negativity that erodes your peace like water wearing down stone. These lessons were written for exactly where you stand today. It is time, past time, to stop merely surviving the days. It is time to start thriving. If even a small part of you is ready to reclaim the energy that has been leaking away, to guard your peace like the sacred flame it is, and to step into a life guided by greater purpose, deeper calm, and unapologetic authenticity, then stay right here with me. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button on Strength Within, turn on notifications so you never miss a reminder of your own power, and let's walk this path together. Walking away isn't running from life. Walking away is rising toward the version of yourself that has been waiting patiently beneath all the noise. Let's rise now. Lesson 1. Not everything and not everyone deserves your attention or your life force. Close your eyes for a moment and picture yourself standing at the edge of an endless ancient Roman forum at the height of its chaos. The sun beats down. Merchants hawk their wares in competing shouts. Philosophers in simple tunics debate virtue under marble columns. Crowds surge past in waves, some rushing toward glittering promises, others dragging chains of obligation behind them. Every single person, every single stall, every single outstretched hand is trying, consciously or unconsciously, to pull one more fragment of your finite existence toward itself. Your time is not an infinite river. Your focus is not a bottomless well. Your emotional energy, that quiet, precious life force that animates your days and colors your nights, is a small handful of gold coins carried in a worn leather pouch at your belt. Every automatic yes, every grudging agreement to stay longer, every hour spent scrolling through drama you don't need, Every moment you lend to a conversation that leaves you hollow spends one of those coins forever. Seneca, writing from his own experience amid Rome's glittering excesses, saw this trap clearly and warned us across 2,000 years. We are not given a short life, but we make it short. We are not ill-supplied with time, but we waste it lavishly. Look around that forum again. Some stalls are selling poison wrapped in pretty packaging. Endless circular arguments that never resolve but always escalate one-sided friendships where you are forever the listener, the supporter, the emergency contact, but never the one celebrated gossip that feels momentarily exciting, but leaves a bitter aftertaste of emptiness. Jobs, projects, side hustles that deposit money into your bank account while quietly withdrawing joy from your spirit. Habits of over-explaining, over-apologizing, over-accommodating that train the world to treat your boundaries as optional if you linger at these stalls long enough, hoping the poison will magically turn into medicine. You do not transform the venom. You simply absorb more of it until your limbs grow heavy and your light dims. But other stalls, quieter, often overlooked, radiate genuine nourishment. Conversations that stretch your mind and leave you wiser, kinder, more curious. Creative pursuits, writing at dawn, painting in silence, moving your body to music, that reconnect you with a sense of aliveness. People who see your growth not as a threat, but as something beautiful to cheer for moments of solitude where your own thoughts can finally breathe. The Stoics did not teach us to be cold or indifferent. They taught us ruthless discernment, the disciplined art of choosing what truly deserves a place in our limited pouch. Pause here, really pause, and ask yourself these questions with unflinching honesty. After spending time with this person or in this situation, do I feel more alive, more grounded, more myself, or more scattered, more tired, more diminished? If I imagine my life 5 years from today, does continuing to invest here move me closer to or further from the person I most want to become? If by some miracle this dynamic, this obligation, this relationship vanished tomorrow morning, would the dominant feeling be relief and lightness, or genuine loss? Am I staying primarily out of love, duty, shared history? Or out of fear, fear of loneliness, fear of judgment, fear of the discomfort of starting over, fear of being seen as the one who gave up? Walking away from what chronically drains you is not an act of cruelty toward others. It is sacred stewardship of the one finite, miraculous life you have been entrusted with, and it does not require theatrical explosions or final confrontations. Most often, walking away looks quiet, almost invisible. Right arrow, a calm, polite sentence. I'm no longer available for this kind of dynamic. Right arrow, muting notifications from group chats that feel more like battlegrounds than communities. Letting the third invitation in a row go unanswered without guilt. Right arrow, unsubscribing, unfollowing, archiving, deleting. Small deletions that create space for life to rush back. In every single one of these micro choices is a vote, quiet but cumulative, for the life your future self will thank you for building. Choose your stalls with care. Your future self is already watching and already grateful. Lesson 2. Protecting your boundaries is an act of respect for yourself and for others. Now imagine life not as a noisy forum, but as an elegant, candle-lit ballroom at twilight. Music floats through the air, slow, graceful, inviting. Every human interaction is a dance partner. Some partners move in perfect harmony. They feel your rhythm, match your tempo, leave space for your steps, celebrate when you spin. Others stomp on your toes, yank you too close, ignore the music entirely, or try to lead you into steps that feel foreign and wrong to your body. Epictetus, once an enslaved man who turned inner freedom into his greatest rebellion, taught a truth that cuts straight to the heart of this scene. Freedom is secured not by fulfilling all your desires, but by removing all that is not yours to control, and by mastering what is. Your body in that dance, your emotional space, your mental clarity, your nervous system sense of safety, is yours to control. Boundaries are not angry stone walls erected in bitterness. They are clear, respectful lines drawn in soft chalk on the dance floor, lines that say, "This is how far I can move with grace. Beyond this, I lose my rhythm, my balance, my joy." To say this far and no further is not selfish. It is honest. It is mature. It is necessary for any dance and any relationship to remain beautiful rather than destructive. When someone repeatedly crosses those chalk lines, whether through helpful criticism that always leaves you feeling small, emotional dumping without ever asking if you have capacity, chronic flakiness that treats your time as disposable, passive-aggressive comments framed as humor, or outright contempt, continuing to smile and absorb it does not demonstrate strength. It teaches the other person that your needs are negotiable, and it slowly teaches you the same lie. Walking away, whether that means full distance, structured low contact, or simply refusing to engage in the same old dance, is not punishment. It is a natural consequence. It is you finally saying aloud what your body has been screaming for months or years. I value myself enough to protect what keeps me whole. The people who truly belong in your ballroom will pause, nod, and respect the new line. The ones who become angry, dramatic, or punitive at the mere sight of your boundary, they have just given you the clearest possible information about who they really are. Here are practical, gentle steps you can take starting today. No grand gestures required. Sit quietly for 5 minutes and identify one single area of your life where you feel chronically overextended, unseen, disrespected, or quietly resentful. Write it down. Name it without judgment. Decide on one clear, kind, specific boundary that would protect your energy in that area. Example: I will no longer respond to work messages after 8 p.m. or on weekends. Or, I will not continue conversations that turn into criticism of my choices. Communicate it once calmly, briefly, without over-explaining or apologizing for existing. I've realized I need to protect my evenings for rest, so I won't be replying after 8 p.m. anymore. Thank you for understanding. Enforce it consistently, not aggressively, just consistently. Silence is enforcement. A repeated gentle reminder is enforcement. Changing the subject is enforcement. When the inevitable wave of guilt arrives, because it almost always does, meet it with compassion instead of surrender. Whisper to yourself, protecting my peace does not make me selfish. It makes me capable of showing up more fully for the people and the life that truly matter. Boundaries do not shrink love. They protect it. They allow real love, mutual, respectful, nourishing, to breathe. Lesson 3. True closure is something you give yourself, never something you wait for. Picture this. You are standing in someone else's house, a house you once knew intimately. You have lost your key to freedom, to peace, to moving forward. You search frantically under furniture, behind books, in drawers. You beg the homeowner to help you look. You plead for them to admit where they hid it. You argue about whose fault it is that the key is missing. You wait days, months, years, convinced that only they can hand it back. Only they can unlock the door and let you finally leave. Marcus Aurelius, writing private notes to himself in a war camp while the empire trembled, saw through this illusion with surgical precision. Reject your sense of injury and the injury itself disappears. Waiting for an external event, a heartfelt apology, a detailed explanation, a dramatic moment of accountability, a tearful reconciliation, even just a basic "I was wrong," keeps you emotionally chained inside that house long after you could have walked out. Real closure is never an event that happens to you from the outside. It is a quiet, sovereign decision that happens inside you, the moment you stop renting out your healing to someone else's timeline. It begins the instant you decide, my peace does not need their signature to be valid. Here are gentle, powerful steps toward giving yourself the closure you deserve. Write the letter you will never send. Pour everything onto the page: rage, grief, confusion, love that still lingers, questions that burn. Do not censor. When it is done, read it once, feel it all, then burn it, delete it, bury it. Let the words leave your system without needing to land in their inbox. Make a private list, not for them, for you, of everything this experience taught you. What red flags will you never ignore again? What values became non-negotiable? What boundaries were born in the ashes? This list is your map forward, not a weapon to wield. Practice forgiveness, but understand what it really means. Forgiveness is not saying what you did was okay. It is saying, I refuse to carry this poison in my body any longer. I release it for my own freedom, not for your absolution. You can forgive and still never speak to them again. Gently but firmly redirect the endless inner question, why did they do this to me? To the only question that has power now. What do I choose to do next for me? When you stop waiting for them to write the final sentence of the chapter, you pick up the pen yourself. You write your own ending, not with revenge, not with bitterness, but with dignity, with grace, with forward motion. And in that moment, the door unlocks from the inside. You step out into fresh air. The story continues, and it is finally unmistakably yours. Lesson 4. The richest soil for growth is always just beyond what feels safe. Think of your current comfort zone as a small, warm stone cottage nestled deep in a quiet valley. Inside, the fire crackles softly in the hearth, casting familiar golden shadows on walls lined with well-worn books and mementos of safer days. The routines are soothing in their predictability. The same coffee at the same hour, the same paths walked, the same conversations that never stretch too far. The door is sturdy, the windows small, everything feels secure, contained, protected from the wind. But step outside that door, and an entire wild, beautiful, uncertain world unfolds before you. Rolling hills give way to jagged mountains. Gentle meadows hide sudden storms. Twilight skies explode into colors you've never allowed yourself to chase. Yes, there are tempests out there, rain that soaks you to the bone, winds that howl doubts into your ears. But there are also sunrise views so breathtaking they stop your breath, hidden valleys blooming with possibilities, strangers who become teachers, versions of yourself you have not yet met. Seneca, staring down the barrel of his own mortality in a Rome full of distractions, cut straight to the heart of our hesitation. You live as if you were destined to live forever. No thought is given to your old age. You don't notice how much of your one life has already passed. You waste life as though you had an endless supply. Growth does not knock politely on the cottage door, waiting for an invitation written in perfect handwriting. It lives in the discomfort, the sweaty palms of new conversations that risk rejection, the sting of honest feedback that bruises the ego, the disorientation of unfamiliar cities where no one knows your name, the trembling courage it takes to say no, when every conditioned instinct screams yes, just to keep someone else comfortable, the raw vulnerability of starting over when staying, even in mediocrity, feels infinitely easier. Walking away from a stagnant job that pays the bills but starves the soul, from a codependent friendship that demands you dim your light to match theirs, from an identity you've outgrown but still wear like an old, ill-fitting coat. None of this is loss. It is sacred clearing. It is making room, breathing space for who you are quietly, insistently becoming. You do not have to leap across the chasm in one terrifying jump. Start small, so small it almost feels insignificant, because small steps compound into seismic change. Write arrow this very week. Take one tiny, uncomfortable action. Have that difficult conversation you've been rehearsing in your head for months. Sign up for the class, workshop, or hobby that scares you because it might reveal you're not as good as you hope, and that's okay. Delete the old photos, messages, or memories that keep pulling you backward like invisible anchors. Write arrow afterward, don't rush past the feeling, track it, sit with it. Notice how the knot of fear in your stomach loosens faster than you expected, how pride quietly replaces panic, how the air feels crisper on the other side. Celebrate courage more than comfort. Light a candle, write yourself a short note of pride, tell one trusted person, I did the hard thing today. Let the small win echo louder than the old safety. The life you want, the fuller, braver, more honest version, is almost always waiting on the other side of a door clearly labeled, I'm scared. Turn the handle anyway. The view is worth every shiver. Lesson 5. You are only responsible for tending your own garden. Not everyone else's envision now a vast shared garden stretching under an endless sky. Some plots burst with color, roses climbing trellises, sunflowers turning toward light, herbs releasing fragrance with every brush of wind. Other plots are choked with weeds that strangle tender shoots, neglected patches where nothing has been watered in years, or worse, deliberately overgrown spaces where thorns spread aggressively into neighboring beds, claiming more than their share. Epictetus, Once a slave who found unbreakable freedom in the one place no one could chain, his own mind, drew the simplest, most liberating line in all of philosophy. Some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us. Trying to force someone else's plants to grow straight when they insist on twisting, to bloom brighter when they choose shadow, to stop spreading thorns when they enjoy the sting they cause. This is exhausting beyond words. It is ultimately impossible. You pour your water, your sunlight, your kindest words, your late-night pep talks, your endless second chances, and still the roots remain theirs alone. Their choices, their season, their soil, these are forever outside your reach. You can offer what you have with an open hand, encouragement, example, gentle truth, but you cannot control whether they receive it, whether they plant it, whether they let it grow. Walking away from the endless cycle of rescuing, fixing, pleading, explaining, begging for change is not abandonment. It is acceptance. The mature, painful, necessary acceptance that their journey is not yours to steer. It is quietly picking up your limited watering can, walking back to your own plot, and pouring everything you have left into the soil that actually responds to your care. Redirect that precious energy where it creates real, visible change. Your thoughts, choosing compassion over rumination, your habits, building mornings that energize instead of drain your boundaries, no longer apologizing for having them, your integrity, living in alignment, even when it's inconvenient, your own quiet flourishing. When you bloom authentically, not perfectly, but honestly, you do not need to lecture, convince, or drag anyone else along. Your life becomes the clearest invitation possible. A living proof that change is possible, that peace is real, that growth feels better than stagnation. Tend your garden. Let the rest grow or not as it will. Your flowers are enough. Lesson 6. Your intuition already knows, trust it enough to act. Imagine stepping back into that same noisy ancient forum. Hundreds of voices clamor at once. Advice from well-meaning friends, opinions from family who haven't lived your life, guilt trips disguised as concern, inner critics shouting worst-case scenarios. The din is deafening. Yet beneath all that chaos, steady, quiet, never needing to yell, there is one voice that simply knows. It does not argue. It does not bargain. It observes, feels, and speaks in the language of sensation and certainty. Marcus Aurelius, ruling an empire while wrestling his own humanity, gave himself this unyielding command. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. That voice is your intuition, the internal compass patiently forged over years from every lesson absorbed, every boundary quietly violated then fiercely reclaimed, every moment of pure joy, every betrayal that left a scar but also wisdom. It has been paying attention even when you tried to ignore it. When it tightens your chest like a warning hand, when it drops a stone into your stomach, when it whispers, sometimes so softly you almost miss it, leave. This isn't safe anymore. This no longer fits who I am becoming. It is not being dramatic, hysterical, or overly sensitive. It is protecting you. It has always been protecting you. Saying no without attaching a 500-word essay, without justifying your existence, without begging for permission, this is not rude. It is reverence for your own truth. It is the deepest form of self-trust. Practice this muscle deliberately. Right arrow the very next time your body signals discomfort, tight throat, heavy limbs, racing thoughts that won't settle, that sudden urge to leave a room. Pause. Do not override. Instead, ask gently, what is this feeling trying to tell me? What does it already know that my mind is still arguing against? Trust the answer before you rationalize it away with but maybe, but they didn't mean it, or but I should be stronger. Honor the no as fiercely as you honor the yes. Treat it as sacred data, not noise to be managed. A well-placed, unapologetic no is often the kindest, most forward-loving thing you can do, not just for today's peace, but for the future self who will inherit the life you are protecting right now. Lesson 7. Walking away is sometimes the most strategic move you can make. Picture a wise general standing on a windswept hill overlooking a battlefield. Arrows whistle past, trumpets blare. The enemy presses forward in relentless waves. His troops are weary, the ground is already soaked in effort. Instead of charging blindly into the slaughter, driven by pride, habit, or the fear of looking weak, he raises his hand. He signals retreat, not from cowardice, not from despair, but from cold, clear strategy. Preserve what remains, gain higher ground, rest, observe, plan, strike smarter tomorrow, or choose a different war entirely. Walking away is not always surrender. Very often, more often than our ego wants to admit, it is tactics. It is wisdom wearing the quiet face of withdrawal. Stepping back grants you 3 irreplaceable gifts. Right arrow emotional distance, the space to see clearly instead of reacting blindly through hurt, anger, or hope, disguised as determination. Right arrow energy conservation, so you do not burn out fighting unwinnable wars that drain your vitality. Drop by drop perspective, the wide-angle view that reveals entirely new paths, better alliances, quieter victories you could never see while entangled in the fray. Seneca, who navigated the treacherous politics of Nero's court, would nod in approval. Living wisely means knowing the precise moment when persistence crosses into stupidity, when endurance becomes self-betrayal. Ask yourself, honestly, without flinching, is this battle truly worth the remainder of my life force? Or am I holding on because of pride, because of fear of what others will think, because of sheer habituation to the struggle? Retreat with dignity. Regroup in silence. Return stronger, or do not return at all if the war was never yours to fight in the first place. The greatest generals win not by never retreating, but by knowing exactly when and why to do so. Lesson 8. Silence and absence can speak louder than any argument. Return one last time to that noisy forum. Everyone is yelling to be heard, accusations flying, justifications stacking, clever retorts polished to sharpness. The air is thick with the need to prove, to win, to have the last word. Now imagine stepping calmly to the side, folding your arms, and simply stopping. No defense. No elaborate explanation. No final, devastating comeback that would feel so satisfying for 5 seconds and then cost you days of peace. Epictetus would nod quietly from the shadows. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Silence, when it is chosen, not forced, not fearful, is not weakness. It is sovereignty. It is the ultimate refusal to let someone else dictate the rhythm of your inner world. In that deliberate quiet, you are saying 3 powerful things without uttering a syllable. Right arrow, I will not feed this drama with any more of my finite energy. My peace matters more to me than proving I am right. I trust my actions, my choices, and the way I live my life to speak for me far more eloquently than any shouted word ever could. Walking away quietly, continuing to rise, to create, to laugh, to grow, while refusing to engage in the circus, often wounds ego-driven people more deeply than the sharpest insult. Your absence becomes the mirror they cannot escape. Choose silence strategically. Let it be your shield, your sword, your quiet revolution. Lesson 9. The only validation that can never be taken away lives inside you. Picture yourself now as an ancient olive tree standing alone on a windswept hill. Seasons turn. Some years the storms are brutal gales that bend branches nearly to breaking. Some years the sun is generous, the rains gentle, the fruit heavy and sweet. Through it all, the deepest roots do not reach for fleeting weather. They plunge into the dark, steady earth itself. Seneca saw the trap we all fall into. He who lives in fear of others' opinions does not live at all. External praise, likes, apologies, recognition, invitations to the right tables, these are weather. They arrive. They pass. They change direction without warning. Chasing them keeps you small, reactive, forever adjusting your branches to catch someone else's sun. Walking away from environments or people who demand you shrink, perform, apologize for your existence just to receive crumbs of approval. This is how you replant yourself in richer, more permanent soil. Self-respect that needs no audience, self-knowledge that no criticism can uproot, self-compassion that forgives your own stumbles. Build this inner root system daily. Right arrow every morning or evening. Write down 3 things you genuinely respect about yourself. Qualities, choices, quiet victories that no one else can give or take away. When the old people-pleasing urge rises, if I say no, they'll be upset. Pause and ask, am I doing this out of love or out of hunger for approval? Right arrow celebrate private wins no one else sees. The morning you chose rest over obligation. The boundary you held without apology. the tear you let fall without shame. When your worth no longer rises and falls with who stays, who leaves, who claps, you become untouchable. Not arrogant, simply rooted. Lesson 10. Fresh beginnings require ruthless clearing of dead weight. See your life once more as that overgrown garden. Beautiful things are trying to grow, fragile shoots of new dreams, tender buds of possibility. But they are strangled by old vines that refuse to release, rotting logs that block the light, invasive weeds that once looked pretty in bloom but now choke everything else. Marcus Aurelius, reminding himself amid endless war and plague, gave the simplest command for freedom: confine yourself to the present. Holding grudges like precious heirlooms, replaying old betrayals on an endless mental loop, clinging to what could have been as though fantasy could rewrite reality, staying tethered to people, places, versions of yourself that belong only in the past. These are heavy stones you carry for no reward. They do not protect, they punish. Letting go is not erasing memory. It is refusing to let yesterday continue to steal tomorrow's sunlight. Clear the space ruthlessly, lovingly, patiently. Breathe into the newly opened earth. Watch how quickly new seeds find their way, carried by wind, by grace, by your own quiet willingness, and land in open soil instead of concrete. Lesson 11. Your inner peace is non-negotiable. Guard it like a temple. Visualize your heart as a small, quiet marble temple perched on a cliff above the sea. Outside, storms rage, voices shout demands, waves of chaos crash against the rocks. Inside, a single calm flame burns steadily. Soft light dances on clean stone. Sacred silence holds everything in gentle suspension. Seneca taught that real happiness, the kind that cannot be stolen, is built on inner sufficiency, not on the impossible dream of controlling the uncontrollable. Anytime you sacrifice that flame to keep someone else comfortable, to avoid short-term conflict, to earn conditional love, you dim your own light. Slowly at first, then all at once. Walking away from chronic chaos, whether it wears the face of a person, a job, a family pattern, a mental habit, is not running away from life. It is returning home to yourself. Protect the temple with quiet ferocity. Say no kindly but firmly. Limit exposure to streams of negativity that flood your peace. Fill your days, even the ordinary ones, with what restores the flame. Silence, nature, movement, truth, small rituals of beauty. Peace is not weakness. It is the foundation everything else stands on. Guard it. It is the holiest thing you own. Lesson 12. Real power is never taken from you, only surrendered by you. Life is an ocean, wild, untamed, full of unpredictable currents and sudden squalls. You cannot command the sea. You cannot order the waves to be still or the wind to change direction. But you can learn with practice, with patience, with unyielding attention to captain your own ship. Epictetus gave us the ultimate map through any storm. There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. Real mastery lives inside. How you interpret what happens, catastrophe or curriculum. How long you allow anger or resentment to rent space in your mind. How quickly you return to calm after the blow lands. Walking away from what disturbs your command center, the endless debate, the toxic loop, the situation designed to provoke, is not defeat. It is reclaiming sovereignty. It is refusing to hand the helm to anyone or anything outside your control. Lesson 13. Honoring your true self is the highest form of loyalty. Finally, see your life as a living tapestry, vast, unfinished, threaded through with every choice, every boundary held, every no spoken in quiet courage, every yes given from fullness rather than fear. Marcus Aurelius left no room for excuses or half measures. Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. Walking away from what dishonors your values, from dynamics that require you to betray your own integrity, from environments that punish authenticity, from any thread that frays the person you swore to become, is not selfish. It is sacred loyalty. It is the highest form of devotion to the one soul you were given to steward. Choose threads of dignity. Choose threads of courage. Choose threads of peace. Choose threads of unapologetic authenticity. Weave boldly, not perfectly, but honestly. The most beautiful life, the one worth every scar and every step into the unknown, is the one where you can stand before the mirror at the end of the day and say, without hesitation, without bargaining, I stayed true. Thank you for joining me here on Strength Within. If any of these lessons, from the first quiet whisper of discernment to this final call to loyalty, touch something deep inside you, drop a comment below. Which lesson hit hardest today? And what is one small, brave step you're taking this week to honor it? Subscribe if you want more Stoic tools, practical, timeless, unflinching, to build unbreakable inner strength. Until next time, walk away when you must, so you can walk toward the life you deserve.